Evening, folks. Welcome back to The View for the first podcast, first live stream since before the international break. And myself and Lockie have just been chatting off camera about how terrible it is for international break and how much we are gagging for any version of football after the international break. Joined, as I just mentioned, by LockyLeeds to preview Leeds' next 5 games. We bounce out of an international break into a pretty hectic looking schedule for Leeds United, but we'll get back-to-back games and plenty to talk about. But Lockie, first things first, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm ticking along, like I was saying earlier, though, it's just that nothing about football. Maybe that's down to my personality, but yeah, I love other things, don't get me wrong, but football's just, as we were saying, weren't we? It does, it gaslights you, even when it's bad and toxic, it's still something. You still feel something. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather feel something than nothing. But finally, we've got now nothing till, what is it, March, April? The next international break?
March is the next international break, yeah. So we've got a nice run of a few months.
Unbelievable.
And then we have March, and then we have May. And the May is the one that Leeds need to pull every single player from, because that's the one that always trips us up at the end of the season. Get rid of it. There's enough. You hear the square ball always talk about sample sizes when you're talking about judging periods of time, going, well, the sample size isn't big enough. We have enough data over the last 4 years to say that May international window, or April, whichever one it is, April, I think, March, will negatively impact Leeds United into the back, because it has every single year it's happened.
Was it the Prem one at the end was the worst? Was it Adams, Nonto, and Sinistera as well? Came back with knocks. How cool! We've not got
all injuries. And then last year it was Georgie.
Yeah.
He was with the French under 21s, wasn't he? And he came back with it. Dan James. There was a few had a knock. There was loads. So yeah, look, we'll get to that. But we've got a couple of games to talk about. But we want to talk about something real quick first. So I want to say just real quick, top mind. Joe Wayman got some bad news this week, and I just wanted to say just heartfelt condolences with Joe and his family as he goes through a pretty tough time. So just want to know that he's here. We're here if ever you need to have a chat. But just put our thoughts and the prayers out to Joe and his family at a very difficult time. But I want to talk about something that Joe covered this week as well, because Victor Orta's been talking. And we've been talking about it. We looked at something he said about Gyökeres during the week, or however you want to pronounce his name. But there's a lot more digging. Joe's done a really good video on the players that we could have signed, and he's asked for people with more ideas and more names to come forward. There's loads. It's
a lot, yeah.
And the more we talked about, me and Lockie talked about this, we came to the conclusion that Victor Orta clearly has very good scouting in terms of lining people up, players and managers, but seems to second guess himself when it comes to signing players. But Lockie, what's your take on that, and how are you?
Yeah, it's that, isn't it? Like the names we mentioned, it's good that we identified them, and most of them were not when they were huge stars. So there's clearly a good network there. It just, when it came down to the final decision, it went wrong, didn't it? That's the kind of be all and end all of it. And we were talking there, and I'll take Gyökeres away because he was kind of the end of the reign. I'll go for the first kind of transfer window in the Premier League and the one after. You've got Kvaratskhelia, I believe we could have signed. He was heavily linked. Obviously, you got Rafinha, so you've got them two as your wingers, which is world class. And then you've got Ollie Watkins, who we could have signed the season we went up. Behind him, you could have had Eze, who was strongly linked with. Rodrigo de Paul in the 8, Calvin Phillips, Gvardiol as well at centre-back. You're going through them names and you're thinking, my God, the vision was there. The idea was there. But when it came to who do we actually get, I don't think we didn't get midfielder, did we? I think we just sacked
We did. With Adam Forshaw came. That was the infamous Adam Forshaw and two international number 9s window. That was that one.
Yeah, that was the one. So yeah, we had. It could have been so great, Joe. It could have been. But yeah, it's all a bit. This happens in football. Like it is a thing. You look at the amount of time. I think Arsenal are famous for it. The amount of players they had in the Wenger days that were really talented that they took on trial but then didn't like, and they've all been world class. I think Ronaldo was actually one of them. So you know what I mean. But for us, who needed them to be right when we've just been promoted, it was painful to see the names that we could have got. But
it's also,
we'll be there again.
It's the language he uses, and I really don't think he helps himself. Like it is said by Scoops, says it here, like, you know, if you were to balance the list up side by side, it probably evens itself out. I don't think it does. I think the ones that he did get right were big rights, like Rafinha, in his second season, but he wasn't the right player at the right time, and that shouldn't be changed now because of a good season he had here. He wasn't the right player at the right time. Mark Rocket, Diego Llorente, they were 10 million and 14 million. Rasmus Christensen, 10 million. Gyökeres at 12 million was viewed as too much money. He has a 100 million pound buyout clause in his contract, and Manchester United are looking at activating it. So there's that one. Erling Haaland was in the door. He was of Elland Road. He had been walked around the place after being with Malmo. And Leeds deemed £4 million too much money to spend on him, so didn't buy him. Rodrigo De Paul, you've already mentioned Vardiol, Havichalia. The list it's a staggering list. And then you look at the managers and Iriola, Andoni Iriola, Arne Slot,
Gallardo as well was one, wasn't it? River player,
Gallardo
manager, Gallardo.
Yeah, Gallardo, and the guy's just left Inter Miami now, who was the Mexican manager. His name escapes me.
Tito, I think they call him, don't they? Tito or something, his nickname?
Tito Mer something. Can't remember his name, but you're right.
Yeah.
Very highly rated manager as well. Missed out on all of them, but clearly the thought process was there in lining them up, Lockie. And then it came to which one do you want, and he was like, that one.
Yeah, that
just didn't work.
Bloke. Yeah.
We got Javi Gracia. Yeah, Gakpo. There's one. Yeah, Gakpo was missed out as well. Not Bamba Dieng was in that list as well. That was a crazy day, wasn't it? So yeah, just nuts. As timing as everything. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Correct. Yeah, you're throwing up shit at a wall. You're gonna hit something. So he did, but yeah, it was Kimberly. The Haaland one was Square Ball covered that one a while ago, I think.
Yeah.
But he was in the door, had done the tour. They brought him around Thorpe Arch. They'd done all this stuff. And then the last minute Leeds went, 4 million is a bit much, isn't it? Like, what? At that age, he was already smashing records in Sweden. So,
yeah. Even like, I remember Boubacar Kamara, who now plays for Villa in Champions League and plays often and a lot. One of their best players in midfield. Even one like him.
Well, Ollie Watkins was say again.
Watkins. Sorry. I think we got Kamara. I think that was Rock. I think it was that year we could have got Kamara.
Yeah, we got Rock instead. Yeah, DePaul was that year, I think, as well, and we got Aronson came in, but just crazy stuff. I mean, Ollie Watkins was in the building waiting on a medical, and they decided against it. They decided to go for Rodrigo. I loved Rodrigo. I loved him from the second he arrived to the second he left. I loved him. Decisions on whether he was a 10 or a 9. He was never a 10. He was always a 9. Played out of position for 2 years, but you don't do that. You don't take a 30-year-old striker over a guy coming into his prime, or you do both. If you can afford to do both, you do both. One for short term, one for long term. A tactic that I hate to say out loud, Alex Ferguson did very well during his time at Manchester United was he would buy one young and one experienced, one for now, one for later every season, and it always kind of worked out. So, yeah. But anyway, look, Rocky, we're here to talk about the next 5 matches as we get back into what is going to be a pretty busy schedule for Leeds United. We come out of this international break with Swansea, Middlesbrough, Luton, Blackburn, and Derby County as the next 5 before we go into the Christmas break. We wanted to walk through and just have a little chat about our thoughts on. I'll give you some stats and statistics on each of the teams that we're coming up against. But Lockie, just as of where we are right now, heading in to what's going to be a sustained 4 or 5 month period of no international games. Where is your head at now after having a couple of weeks to think about Leeds and nothing else, apparently?
Yeah, literally just that's it. I've honestly, mate, it's been boring. Just what video can I make today? And I'm going, it's nothing to do. But yeah, I'm always like this. I get over. I think I have to in work. The area I work in, you have to get over defeat pretty well. I've been the most depressed human in the world. Honestly, football is 90% defeat and anger and agony. So you've got to deal with it pretty quick. And I have. If you'd asked me 5 or 6 years ago, I'd have been. I was terrible, honestly, mate. I was so bad when we lost. I hated everyone and everything. Same. But now I'm kind of calm a bit. I'm all right. I can't lie. I'm all right at the moment. Once we play, I'll be screaming at the screen, getting stressed as usual. But right now, I'm feeling good. I'm just hoping everyone's coming back. Ramazan is coming back. What's his name? God, Ampadu. It's been a while. Ampadu's coming back. They're coming back slowly. We're looking good. Getting a bit more excited. I just get to watch Leeds, mate. And that's what we were saying before, weren't we? I just need something there, whether it's good or bad. I need my team to be playing. Yeah. I need to be part of that. Because when there's nothing there, it's just boring. So Yeah, I'm all right, mate. To be honest, like generally speaking, I'm all right about it. I'm looking forward to just seeing us play football again, even if I am bored for 90 minutes or not. Who knows? But I get to watch him.
Look.
You know what I mean? I get to watch Tanaka at least. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you do. And he tell you what, another impressive game for Japan he had as well. He's having a fantastic time. There was an interesting piece. I'll see if I can find the graphic that I had earlier on. The graphic, like it's an actual graphic. The PowerPoint slide that I had earlier on that I did in the news. Because this is a really interesting comparison for the midfield. So basically, Leeds Live did a comparison after 7 games each between the partnership of Rothwell and Tanaka versus Gruev and Ampadu. And it's really interesting viewing because you would think that it wouldn't be this close. 7 games played each, 14 points each, 4 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss each. Tanaka and Rothwell have been part of a team that's averaged 1 more goal, but the same goals against, an additional clean sheet for the non-defensive defensive pairing, and they're averaging 2 points per game as well. What's your thoughts on that? Because it's strange to think that the more attacking team midfield partnership actually have more clean sheets.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is down to obviously the individuals, but the system we play as well is very dominant. I think positionally, it's the way in which Rothwell and Tanaka are really good at reading the game and winning the ball back quickly, so which really helps. I do believe though, and I don't think their problem, not problem, but this is just they're not Gruev and Ampadu in the sense that they're not players who love defending. You know, they'll do it and they'll be good at it because they're very smart players. But they're not players who read the game defensively. They're players who read the game going forward, on the ball, in possession. That's who they are. That's what they're amazing at. But what they are is very smart. So if they recognise there's a problem, you know, they might get run off once or twice by the midfielders. They might find spaces behind them, but eventually they'll get onto that and then they'll deal with it because they're both very smart players. And I think that's what we've got with them too. You know, one of Tanaka's biggest things is his brain. He's so smart. And same for Rothwell. I don't know too much about Rothwell before he joined Leeds, but clear he's a very smart footballer as well. Whereas Ampadu and Gruev are defensive-minded midfielders who are very good at it naturally. Whereas going forward, as we've seen, you know, I know the stats, goals and that, but we don't have any goals from, I don't think any of them do it this season. So that's something we still need to fix. But the way they think, going forward, they aren't as natural at it than Rothwell is, you know, when he drives forward. But as a balance and the way we play, both are working in slightly different ways, but both are working. And it's good to see. And while there's a problem when they're all fit, you know, that's a conundrum. You've got Gulavogi as well, who is brilliant.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. Tough time to be Crew. He's got no chance, has he? He probably thought he were in for a chance when all them injuries came in, but now he's going...
I think he was probably hoping Ampadu had a slight reoccurrence and was out for another couple of weeks to give him a chance to get into the starting lineup. I don't think, as much as this backs up everything as being the same and slightly better, then you can argue the types of games as well.
Yeah.
I still think Daniel Farke would just rather have an Ampadu or a Gruev in beside one of Rothwell or Tanaka, or maybe even a Gulavogi in beside one of those two, because it just eases his mind around the defensive side of things, despite the fact that the evidence now, Sunderland and Sheffield United are in that mix as well for Tanaka and Rothwell. And it still shows that it's steady there. So from what we've heard, Ampadu could be back in a couple of weeks. He's on the grass, he's running, he's getting involved with some stuff. So he could be very, very close to coming back. And then the question will be, and has been said here on one of the comments, that they just shouldn't just walk back into the team when they get back in. But then it will come down to me. Farke is pretty loyal to the ones that are permanently here versus the ones that are here temporarily. Gulavogi till the end of the season and Rothwell very much on loan. So I think when you look at that, I think Farke is probably going to try and get his club captain back in the team as quickly as he can. I will miss seeing Joe Rothwell's bursting runs from midfield because I really enjoy those, because I think the likely partnership is Ampadu and Tanaka. But I do agree with Danny here, personally speaking, on how the season started in midfield for Ampadu. I think he's a better centre-back than he is a defensive midfielder. I think he's good with the game in front of him, and he adds Leeds an awful lot there. But I didn't think he started the season particularly well in midfield for Leeds. Got better, definitely got better as the season went on. Before the injury, it was probably his best game. So you want to see that version come back. But look, you've got plenty of options there. Jesus, we're stacked for midfielders now. We were 2 years ago, we'd clinging on to Adam Forshaw and sticking him together with sticky tape and hoping he'd be okay, you know. So, but just Nothing to do with the next 5, but just looking back on that partnership, because it is important. And I saw this graphic was in MOT Leeds News today along with a story, and I just thought that's a really interesting conversation topic, because I don't think many people would have expected to see that. Not as close as it is, as mirroring as it is, but we are going to talk about the next 5. So let's get on to that, Lockie, and let's start talking about the first one we've got up is against Swansea away from home as we come back. Leeds get the extra day this time around from the international break, so we're not out till Sunday. So
nice.
No arguments or excuses around that one. We've got time to prepare. Most of the players have headed back yesterday or coming back today, so they've got time. So Swansea 11th in the table, 13th in their home form. Their away form is far better than their home form is, and they average 1.7 big chances per game, but they're scoring 0.7 goals on average a game. Come into this game, Leeds with a decent record against Swansea. A couple of the Welsh lads in there as well. We'll know they're coming up against Cullen for Wales. Finally found his scoring boots again this week, and we'll have to face him with Swansea on Sunday. But what's your thoughts about that game coming up, Lockie?
Yeah, Swansea are. I know they're doing all right, not doing terrible. They're a bit inconsistent. I like the manager. He's a really possession-based manager, and I think we'll see that. So this is an interesting one, because I think the 2 teams with the most possession this season, I believe, are us and Swansea. I'm fairly sure. So it'll be interesting to see if we see the Leeds that give up a bit of possession and play a bit deeper, or whether we try and dominate. I'll be interested to see which side we come at. But in terms of individuals, look, they have every team in this league has some all right players, but it's nothing that stands out and worries me. I think they've got a winger called Ronaldo, I believe, who's a bit tricky, a bit direct, and cause some problems. Quite a solid defence as well, some solid defenders. But yeah, look, Joe, we've got to win this game. It's a game to win. It's a big one. You know, like you said, we'll be back. Everyone will be back, I think, now, mainly. Most people. Apart from, I think, maybe Firpo. But so we've got a full week. Sunday, an extra day on Saturday to work on things. Should be ready and raring to go, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm not really worried by too many teams in this league, bar maybe 3 or 4 who I think can compete at times. Maybe like a Sheffield United, a Sunderland, and Norwich are really good. But Swansea don't worry me in that sense. They've got threats that you have to work on. You'll have to analyse and stuff, obviously. But the team we should be beating, and I think we will. To be honest, I think we'll beat them.
Yeah, it's a decent 5 games. We've got 3 home games and only 2 away in that. And as I said, Swansea's home record is worse than their away record, which says something about how their season is going for them, down in 11th at the moment. The next one up is an interesting one. It's Luton Town at home at Ellen Road. Luton are having a rotten season and the weirdest season, considering their transfer policy, Lockie, going into the Premier League was to buy for potentially going back into the Championship the following year. And it looked on paper as if they'd done all the right things. Rob Edwards put a decent squad together there, and they're still sitting in 21st in the table, and their away record is 20th in the table. So when they come to Leeds, they're coming with one of the worst away records in the division. And even though they've had moments this season where you thought this is the turning point for them, they've fallen again pretty much straight after. So we think we have problems at times with Luton. Luton Town are in proper trouble, but they're still averaging nearly 2 big chances per game. And we know against Leeds, when you create big chances against Leeds, chances are you'll convert them. Their issue has been conversion, 1.1 XG so far this season, which isn't great for them. Scored 17, conceded 26 goals. So it's not great at the back for them.
I think their problem is it's crazy. I'm looking at 21st in the league. It's crazy. Watched them twice. They've been on Sky twice. And they've looked good in both games. Yeah, like you said, they create chances. When they go forward and they move it quick, they look direct. They look really good, look impressive. But I think they're having a big hangover from the Premier League. I think that's what we're seeing. Because like you said, most of these players, but most of them, all of them, really, apart from maybe 1 or 2, played in the Prem last year. And the motivation and the drive week in, week out to stay in the Prem, to beat these teams that you know are better than you every single week. You're doing that for 46 games and it doesn't work, that's going to kill you off for a long time. Yeah. And now you're playing in the Championship where the motivation every week to get up for a game like that, like, you know, you're playing a Liverpool or even like a Brighton, you know, they're all big games for them. Whereas in the Championship, there's not that motivation, there's not that drive. So maybe it's just affecting them and they've just not got what they had last year, you know, because they tried so hard to stay in the league, didn't work. So now they're just kind of like, oh. So that's always the risk for me when you do get relegated and you keep most of the team. I think that's a risk that they have that hangover. And I think it's showing because there's still some things I like about them. They just don't have that deep desire to defend and really fight, I don't think, anymore. But I'm glad it's away, though. I'm glad they're away, sorry. I'm glad it's at Ellen Road, because at home, it's a bit of a fortress when they get going. If you're playing Leeds, it's a big game. You know that if you get an early goal against Leeds, the fortress, wherever you are, will be crazy. Everyone will be singing and stuff. So, yeah, they're a weird team, mate. They are a weird team because that were impressive, Prem. They didn't get battered a lot last season in the Prem.
No,
they were in every single game. Barbie maybe one or twice against the usual suspects. But, yeah, and now they're 21st in the Championship. Crazy, isn't it? That's football. It's mental.
When Leeds came down, when Daniel Farke's first press conferences, he's talked about the Premier League hangover and it can affect teams differently. And he was very mindful of the fact that that would be a factor for Leeds, was to make sure they managed the hangover from being relegated and what would happen. And he managed that quite well, especially in the first season. Luton really, really struggling with it. But it's interesting just to look at, you talk about the defense, 26 goals conceded against a team that, as we said, went in the Premier League, had a proper go to Premier League. Like, they weren't expected to be there. They were everyone's, favorite second team for, like, yay, it's great, Luton are in the Premier League. They won't last. And they were okay. But they've just, and again, same as you said, when I've watched them this season, they haven't looked like a side that are struggling in the Championship. They don't play like a team without confidence. They don't play like a side that are down around the bottom of the league. They create chances in every game. And I wouldn't let their league table let us slip into thinking, cakewalk here, we'll get 3 points easily at home here. These boys can still create chances and can still catch teams, and you've got to limit that. But they give up a ton of chances, and maybe that's because they've got a less pragmatic approach. Maybe Daniel Farke, maybe they're having to go too often and leaving themselves open, and the Championship will punish you if you leave the door open. So best result for Leeds in this, Lockie, is if for Luton to have a go and come out and open up, and let Leeds equally pick them off in space, which what Leeds do best and play at their best.
Yeah. Exploit their weaknesses. That's football, isn't it? Exploiting your opposition. That's where they're weak, right? Let's identify that. Let's exploit it. 9 times out of 10, if you exploit the weaknesses more than they exploit yours, you win the game. So, that's what we've got to do, to be honest.
What are you thinking? You're thinking 3 points or a draw, or what are you thinking with this one?
At home, I think we'll win, yeah. If we're away, I think it'll be really tough. But, I think we win that. Confident start. I'm looking at 2 wins out of 2. What am I doing?
Well, just some of the games. There's a couple of banana skins, not banana skins, disrespectful to the clubs, but there's a couple of potential, concerning games we should be mindful of. But when you come out with this block of 5, the next 5 are, again, you could argue 3-3-3-3-3. And that's the problem, is the expectation goes up to here, and then the reaction, and I'm guilty of that as well. But we've then, after playing Luton at home, we travel away to Blackburn Rovers to Ewood Park for our largest away allocation of the season. We get an entire stand at Ewood Park. About 7,500 Leeds fans will make the trip down to Ewood Park for that game. A short trip, sitting in 9th in the table, Lucky, but they're at home in this game, and they're the 6th best record at home in the division. So no slouches by any shades of the imagination. They're averaging 2 big chances per game as well, but they're only converting 1.3 of them into actual goals. They've scored 12 goals this season, conceded only 7 goals in 15 games, one of the best defensive records in the division, and Leeds will have to figure out a way of getting around that. But they're at home, which means that they might need to come out and play a bit more, but they're not been a disappointment this season at all, Blackburn. They're not sitting mid-table. They're pushing consistently towards the top end, and a couple of more results going a goal or 2 either way, and they could be very easy sitting in the playoffs.
Yeah, John Eustace as well, isn't it?
Shock horror, Imagine that.
I was at Ellen Road last year when they somehow won that game after we created about 30 chances and couldn't score at all. It was mental. And I was right there, and it was horrible. But and then the Birmingham game at the start of the season, he was their manager then when they came through with a late penalty. He's a good manager, John Eustace. Yeah, crazy decision, mate. He's a good manager. He does well with teams. He keeps them competitive, even if they've not got the best players or the biggest budget. He knows how to set a team up really well. Away from home as well. Again, tough game. You look at the Swansea one, you should win that. You look at the Luton one at home, you should definitely win that, even though they're a decent team. This one, you're looking at going, there's history there of this manager doing good in games like this. It's not just us. He does well against teams that are decent. He loves those games. He gets his players up for it, gets them motivated. We're away as well. Honestly, mate, this might be one of them where we get a draw. It's weird with Leeds because in terms of firepower, of course we can win every game. no. But it's do you? Because in football, you just don't win every game, no matter what league you're in, no matter what team. Eventually, you'll lose one or draw one. It happens. But
or 11, as the case will probably be come the end of the season, where Leicester lost 11 games last season. So
and that's it. You think of Leicester every week, don't you? You think win, 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 win. But in there, they lost 11. That's quite a lot. Even when we went up on, look at if you want.
No, Sean, move on. Yeah, move on.
I didn't watch it anyway. I'm not bothered to.
I did.
Did you? Oh dear. I saw the goals. I did watch the highlights.
First half we were great. Second half, not so good. Possibly should have had penalty in the first half, but no, dreadful second half.
Yeah.
Sorry,
anyway,
continue. Thanks, Sean.
All right. Blackburn. I'll be all right with it. What do you think, Joe? I'll be all right with a draw there, considering we won the first two, and I think we'll win the next ones.
I don't think you can look at these games and think 3 points in every single game, because as much as you look at it on paper, and you can go through every game between now and the end of the season and pretty much put 3 points or 1 point beside every single game, we will lose games. We will lose games because it's not just about us. We've done the breakdown stuff in the last few weeks, Lockie, and the Watford game is the one that always sticks out to me, watching how well Watford moved Leeds players out of position to create space for a goal. It's never just about what we do. It's also got to take into consideration the game plans of the opposition. And sometimes it's not always visible to the eye what the opposition are doing. So I think there's tricky games in here. I wouldn't be upset with a point against Blackburn, but I think the performance will dictate the mood on that. I think if it's a good game and it's up and down, we create chances. I'm just unlucky. I think everyone will be okay with a point in that game, assuming the 2 games before bring 3 points. But I think you're looking for 7 points out of those 3 at least. If you drop points to Luton or Swansea, or you want to pick them up against Blackburn then. So yeah, it's a tricky one for me, but I would be in agreement. I think a point is probably fair enough, and they do come within a short space of time, these 3 games, so there's impact there. Then we have 2 home games back to back, and we've got Derby County, who currently sit in 12th in the table, which is good for them considering they just came up. But they're 19th in the away table, and they have to travel to Ellen Road for this game. They're averaging 1.5 big chances per game, and they're probably over indexing right now, and their XG is 1.3 right now. So they're probably over indexing on that. 19 goals scored, so they can score goals, but they've conceded 19 as well. So a 0 goal difference, but they're also not afraid to have a go, Lockie, and have settled into the championship reasonably well.
Yeah, looking at the draws as well, 4 draws in the last 6, I believe. So finding a bit of competitiveness. We're not winning every game, but they're in games, you know what I mean? Like you said, 0 goal difference. So clearly, most games are tight. I think we win them though. I think we've got to. I think home at Ellen Road against Derby, we can't have any more step-ups against Derby at home, can we?
Not them. Not them. It feels like only a minute ago we were talking about them.
So, look, good. Doing all right this year, like you said, sitting 12th, getting a few draws recently. Won 5 games this year. Not a bad team. Close games. But it's one of them again. Look, 2 games at home, they've got to be back-to-back wins. And I think they can be, and I think they will be. I think this is our chance now to really just solidify top 2. Make a gap to 3rd, whoever that will be, don't know. But I just think we just need to look after us and just get the wins on the board each week. Because we know going into the last 10 games of the season is where we struggle. So we need a buffer before them last 10 games. Because they always worry me, Joe. Them last 10 games worry me with this club. No matter who's in charge, what players we have, it always worries me.
I've talked about Harold Wilkinson with stats in the last couple of weeks, and the season we won the league, we had a wobble. The year we got promoted under Harold Wilkinson, we had a wobble. The year we got promoted under Bielsa, had a wobble. The year before we got promoted, had a wobble. So we do it. We do it every year. Even in the Premier League 9th season, although that was the flip, we started all right, had a wobble in the middle, and then ran right towards the end of the season. But
we did.
It's the wobble worries me this year more so than before, because we're still only 1 point better off than we were at this stage last season. And a lot of people have told me, I said recently, that Leeds will still need that winning streak that they went on last year in order to get to the 90 points mark. And people have said to me, we won't need that because our December form will be better this year than last year, and our end of season form will be better this year than last year. And I hope that that's the case. But if the wobble is there, Leeds will need that winning run. in the middle. I will need a very good Christmas as well to make sure they can get to that 90-point mark. But and again, it won't be straightforward. But there's enough. This is the most depth I've seen in a Leeds United team in a while in terms of positions. We've got 4 central midfielders. We've got potentially 2 number 10s. Although they're not the perfect number 10, we've got 3 strikers that can start. Another one who can go in as backup. You've got 4 wingers. You've got 2 fullbacks on each side. You've got depth in centre backs now with Verber being back. So it's the most depth Leeds have had in a very, very long time. So you hope that they won't have the wobble. You'd hope.
I think this season will be the team that's most consistent. I know that might sound a bit like obviously, but when I mean consistent, I don't mean a team that's going to win 10 in a row, then lose 4 in a row. A team that can win 3, draw 1, win 3, maybe lose 1, draw 1, then win 4. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what we'll do. I think that's what we've been doing all season. Whereas Sunderland, for example, great run, but drew 3 games in a row. Do you know what I mean? I don't think we'll do that. I think we might get a loss and a draw, but then a win. I don't think there'll be 3 games we go without a loss, if that makes sense, or a draw. Look at even Sheffield United. They're on a 4-game winning run, but lost 2 in a row before that. I don't think we've done that, have we, this season?
We've only won 2 games back-to-back so far.
Yeah. But
we've
not
block.
Lost 2 in a row.
No.
Yeah, right.
No, we haven't.
It's about just being consistent and finding that kind of upper inconsistency where it's wins and draws, not wins, losses, and draws. Do you know what I mean? So I think that'll be the team that does it. And I think we are, because of the way we play and how it can be very, slow, for example. But what that does is that's calming the game down and not allowing teams to have chances against you, meaning they're less likely to score and all this stuff, which means it might be a 1-0. There might be a lot of 1-0s, 2-1s. But what you're doing is you're making the game kind of in your control, if that makes sense. I'm kind of waffling, but what I'm trying to say is I just think we look very consistent at the point where I don't see this team going more than 3 games without a win, if that makes sense. I think there's always a win in there because of, like you said, the depth we have and how good we can be. There's always that win in there. Whereas Sunderland might struggle at times because they don't have that depth, the quality of players. Same for Sheffield United, who don't have that depth. If that makes any sense. I'm trying to make sense of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, it does. But and again, everyone's saying it in the chat about rotation, and he needs to rotate the team a lot more. I think he scared the life out of himself last year when he rotated the team against Stoke, and we saw what happened. I think since then he's just been adverse to making more than a couple of changes. But the substitutions coming on earlier, maybe impacting games a bit differently. Not 70 minutes. I mean, you can set your clock by when the subs are going to be made at this point. So there's still stuff there. And again, with the depth that's there in that squad and the bench that he's got right now, and Ramazani due back as well as Ampadu, there's a lot there that he could use to change games at certain points. And he'll have to manage that over the course of the season. And look, if he gets to the end of the season and he averages 2 points per game and we go up, you can't fault the strategy because the goal has always been get up. The strategy might be slightly different, but if he gets us there, that's all that matters. The concern for me in these games, Lockie, we're talking about teams that are punching above their weight slightly with their XGs, and that Middlesbrough is the tricky one for me because of what they did to us in Ellen Road already this year. They're 7th in the table, 6th away form, so they're coming to Leeds 6th best. But look, Leeds are averaging nearly 3 big chances per game, 2.9. And Leeds are converting 1.6. So that's and if you go back through the teams, Swansea 0.7 conversion, Luton not 1.1, Blackburn 1.3, Derby 1.3, Middlesbrough 1.5, Leeds 1.6. So there's not a huge amount of a difference, but Leeds create more big chances. Goes back to conversion rate and goes back to finishing your dinner and getting the job done, which Leeds aren't doing. But that would be the concern for me, is that in the games that are a little bit tighter and teams have done well with a low block against us, Leeds will need to find ways to score goals. And although we create big chances, we're not scoring enough, or we're not creating enough big chances, which I don't know about you, Lucky, but that sounds kind of familiar to last year to me.
Yeah, so I was looking at, I went on FB Ref the other day and I was looking at literally all the metrics just to try and see what the problem is. And in 90% of them, I'm talking touches in opposition box, touches in the final third, progressive passes, all this key assists and all this, we're either first or second with Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough, in terms of those metrics, are right up there. The only difference between us and Middlesbrough is the defensive side of it. We are better than them. But in terms of chances created and all that, and the progressive stats, they are literally up there with us. So that game will be great. That's going to be a fun one. But yeah, it is true. But the point being, like you said, we still create so much. I was looking at I believe we create the most shots in the league, the most shots on target in the league. We've scored the joint most goals in the league, but our shots to goal ratio is like 12th, I believe, something mid-table. So let's start scoring a few more of them. That's one metric you can look at and go, we need to improve. Obviously, there's other things as well to do with the manager, but those are just ones that you can see and that are obvious. So the game against Middlesbrough is, again, a team who destroyed us earlier on in the season. Let's be honest, that could have been more than what it was.
Easily.
Again, we did rotate though, and that was that defensive side wasn't the same defensive side we've got now. This defensive team looks much better. But if there's any game where, you know, there's a loss incoming. I mentioned the teams at the start that worry me. Middlesbrough are one of them. They're very good when they're on it. Their problem is consistency, though. They seem to lack winning a lot of games in a row. If they found that, there'd be a joke. I think it was 2 seasons ago under Carrick's first season. I think they won it was 10 of the last 14 games or something like that. Yeah, but they've not found that form in a consistent manner since then. But if they did, there'd be a force. But on the day, they could find the top form that they've got. So that one will be really hard, mate, to be honest. That's going to be a tough one.
I agree. I'm leaving this on the screen, just Richard. I don't believe, after seeing what happened to Ellen Rose in the Cup, I think that Michael Carrick will fancy himself in this, and I think he'll have a go. I think he knows that Leeds will leave space and Leeds will have a go, and I think he'll try and capitalize on that. He is, I hate to say this out loud because of who he played for, but he's probably one of my favorite up-and-coming young coaches in the game. I think Michael Carrick plays a lovely brand of football. He's clever. He doesn't play the same team every week or the same system every week. It's horses for courses. He's a bit streaky, but so is his team. And I think a lot of his issues are coaching a side that's probably not as good as the top 6 sides, but is consistently knocking in and around there because of an ability to coach up and make teams better. But we'll have to see. But that's the one for me. But we are home. We owe them, blah, blah, blah. Go and win the game. But Lockie, in those 5 games, Swansea, Luton, Blackburn, Derby, Middlesbrough, what are you thinking? 15 points up for grabs.
3 wins. No, 4 wins, a draw. I think that's what we'll go
4
for.
wins and a draw.
I think we'll beat Middlesbrough home. Like you said, I think we have to. I think it's a big game for us to prove that, you know, we can get one back on a team. The only team this season that has, let's be honest, destroyed us is Middlesbrough. They absolutely did. We've not seen a team do that to us this season, and they did that. So there's a point to prove there. And look, if we want to win promotion and we're a serious side, these are the games that players love to play in to prove points to teams that beat you. You know, it's personal then, isn't it, when a team batters you and does what they did to us. So that I want to see a win there, mate. Absolutely.
Don't come over to my house and wreck it and expect no consequences. You know, they came into our back door, came into our ground, messed around. Not having that. Yeah, sort that out next time around. It should be the shortest team talk of the season. Play the game back, play the highlights of that match back, and go off us go. Sort it out. That would be it.
I love games. Yeah. The amount of times I've been part of games where you've been battered by. Last year at uni, we played top of the league, Liverpool, John Moores. They won the league. They absolutely battered it. They're unbeaten. We had them last game of the season. Nothing on it. We couldn't go up or down. We were third. We couldn't go down. We couldn't go up. We absolutely smoked them 5-1 because it was pride. You know, there was no points on it. Like, it didn't matter. We couldn't go up. But we absolutely battered them. And it was great. You know, I love games like that where, you know, they're laughing at you. Yeah, they think you're bad. They think they've got something over you. Go prove them wrong. I love it.
Just do this.
Yeah.
Can you hear that? Can you hear them?
Yeah.
Can you hear them? That's what they think of you.
Yeah. They think you're rubbish.
Some of my favorite halftime team talks have been silence. We just walked in and sat down and just been like, and waited for someone else to speak, and just everyone just waiting because they knew it was they should be winning the game and weren't winning. Then just before you go back out, go have a quick listen, lads. Do you hear them? Yeah. That's what they think of you. There's the door. Fix it. Done. So yeah, a couple of quick for just stuff I started earlier on. Just a massive thanks to Free Falling for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Pellegrino Riccardi. Yes, Ollie Watkins was in the door, in the ground, and scheduled for a medical. And Leeds decided it was too much money. I covered that one, Danny. And then Mike is saying, what a bit more rotation in the subs. Also, any comments on the 70-minute timing of the subs? I think Daniel Farke looks at his subs as managing the game out, or And I've played for managers like this where if it's like 1-0 or 0-0, they'll just be like, it's too tight to change anything. We'll just leave it as it is for now. But you can be a bit reactive. And I'd like to see him in certain circumstances freshen things up completely at 60 minutes. Like I'd like to see both wingers coming off and the other two wingers going on for the last half an hour, a striker coming off and a new striker going on, just fresh legs to run at teams in the last half an hour. But give them 30 minutes so they've got time to get into the game and get up to the speed of it to be impactful, and not 15, 20 minutes, which can be limited. What's your thoughts on it, Lockie?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think, again, it's down to the style or the ideas of the manager. So a lot of coaches I know from that maybe play lower than Championship, you're talking National League, just lower leagues in England and stuff like that. They obviously they can't implement their ideal style because they don't have the players to do so, right? So what you do is the idea is to adapt each game to the opposition and play a way which is most effective. And that's where subs in lower leagues are absolutely huge, because you might have a little guy for 60 minutes and then bring a big guy on for the last 20 to 30 minutes, and it changes the game. It changes the opposition. It makes them fight. Whereas now and higher up in leagues, what you see is a manager is unconditionally plays the way he plays without any changes. Farker is one of them. So the subs that he brings on, like you said, are more defensively to shut the shop up and stop them creating chances, as opposed to players who want to bring a guy on to change the entire game. Managers, that want to bring a guy on to change the entire game. So it's a topic, but that's just who he is. Pep's the same. Pep changes his team around a lot, but what he does is he wants that team. That is the team he's putting out to win. He doesn't like making subs. He doesn't want to change it because he believes that is the team that should win. And making a sub is kind of, a sub to him is, I've lost. That's annoying. You've not done what I need you to, otherwise you'd win. And I think that's what Farker kind of is. So whether it's right or wrong, that's, people are different. I don't actually know yet. I've not delved into it too deep in what I do in that situation as a manager. I've not been there. I've not been in that situation. It's always nice, though, especially lower leagues, to have a big guy coming off the bench or a quick guy coming on for 30 minutes, when the team's tired and all that. But it's a good topic. It's interesting. What's the idea around subs and why people do it and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've played with it at times. I was at one team where I had a certain group of players that we were doing really, really well. They were a cracking group to coach. Team called OMP United. I was managing the reserve side for a year, and I gave them an awful hard time. I'm a tough love kind of manager, but they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant and putting some incredible performances throughout a year. But I remember a specific game where the assistant coach, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with, a guy called John Tigers, lives in Navan, probably the best coach I've worked with. He came up and we were losing the game and he said, look, we need to change this. And I'm like, no. He's like, well, we need to change it. I went, if we change it, then everything I've been telling them is wrong.
Yeah.
So we're sticking to it. Now, with I've tried that with lesser sides I've coached and it hasn't worked. So I think it's horses for courses. I think if you've got a team with strength and depth, you can change it. You can do that. If you've got different profiles of players, you can change it. If you don't, you're kind of stuck with what you have to play. If you're playing a style of football to suit the players that you've got, you're pretty much stuck with one style of football because that's how you're going to maximize them. But if you've got up, and again, in an ideal world, if everyone's back, you could start with any fullback you wanted at Leeds right now and not be weakened. Like Byram or Bogle could play right back, Schmidt or Firpo could play left back. The central midfield partnerships, we've already seen that. You could play any version of those four plus Gilavogi, and it's probably still the best central midfield in the division. You've got Ramazani, Nanto, James, Solomon, Aronson, Matteo Joseph, Joel Pirro, Pat Bamford. Like that. That's a depth of talent there. So why not, with a half an hour to go, change it? Take all the speed guys off, bring on new speed, and then just absolutely tear teams apart in the last half an hour. But it's that difference between a manager who thinks, no, this is the style I want, and this is how we're going to play, and a manager who goes, could probably get a bit more out of this if we just push it a little bit more. So I think that's the three sits.
And there's success in both. That's the thing. There's managers that have been successful with, this is who we are, this is what we do, we are not changing. I can Pep Guardiola, for example, Jurgen Klopp. They're just the two ones that people, the obvious ones. And then there is managers who change for change fun. Carlo Ancelotti changes the game a lot when he plays. There's so much freedom to them front players that most games are different. Jose
that's
Mourinho
a talent again, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a different skill. Jose Mourinho has the defensive, foundation, but when he brings players on, he brings someone on that's different to hold the ball up a bit more. or a quick winger, give it to him, get it out wide, things like that. There's a lot of success, and it's about managers finding what fits them and getting the perfect balance of the right player to carry out their plans. That's all football really is. The Bielsa team's a perfect example of it. They might not have been the best talented players in the world, but they were the right ones for the manager. You know what I mean? They worked really well for Bielsa because the first thing Bielsa needed was, you guys need to run more than anyone else. Are them players willing to do that when it really gets down into it? When you're losing games and it's not quite coming off, are you still going to keep running for me? And they did. And that's why we finished 9th in the Prem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's different methods to it. But yeah, it's a good discussion. It's interesting to delve into why in football, why people make decisions and what that means.
The most important question in anything is why. And I've said this in my work life, when I used to go into, when I was a store manager, when I used to go into new stores, and I'd ask them why we do certain things the way we do it. And if nobody could tell me why, or if I heard the world's worst answer, which is, that's just the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Right. That's on the chopping block. And same with football. You walk in and you I used to always make a point of, there's a book here somewhere. If I can find it. Stephen Covey wrote it. It's a book, and it basically says start with the why, and it talks about golden circle of how people think, and it's why, how, and what. And it's a very good book for understanding things. But when I used to play football, and who's asking the questions here, there was a question asked by Shane. Shane asked me to name the team. It was OMP United in Navan. I played for Parkville in Navan, and I played for Newtown Rangers in Verona in Dublin, and Shamrock Rovers for a while. So what was the point I was making? I shouldn't have done that. I always do it. I go off on a tangent, then I forget what the original point was. The why. Thank you. The why. Why am I having this conversation? Yeah, when I used to play, you just do drills. Yeah. You just did drills. And then you had your team talk, and they told you where you were going to play, and that was it. When I started managing and coaching, what I wanted to do was introduce the why are we doing things. And what I found is, from if you look at how people learn, and my background's learning and development. So if you look at how people learn, the bulk of people don't learn academically. They learn by doing and seeing. Yeah. But for that to work, they need to understand why and where it fits. So the why and the where are important. So when we're doing drills and training, I'd say the reason why we're doing this drill is this is a cross section of this part of a game, and this is an area we're struggling at. So if we get this right and get comfortable with this, it automatically goes into this part of the game, and then everyone gets it. So before you even start the drill, everyone knows why they're doing the drill, and then they go and do it. Or if you leave that why out, there'll be some members of that group who'll be like, why am I doing this? What's the point of this? Why are we doing this? So they're just thinking about that. So you remove that straight away. So the why is hugely, hugely important, and understanding why any manager does anything, anyway. Why is a hugely important question, because that'll answer 90% of all the other questions. So
yeah, and then that's the thing for the problem for me in this generation of football is players need to understand the why just as much as the coach, because everything's so system based. Like the players need to be coaches, and the fact of the matter is, players, a lot of them are not coaches. They don't want to be coaches. They just want to go play football, right? So this is where you're seeing all these systems that people are trying to play out, and it's not working because the players just fully don't understand the reasoning behind it. You can do all this analysis, but again, as an analyst, I know for a fact if I go longer than 25 minutes, the players are not bothered. They're gone. They're shut off. They're not listening. Exactly. They're just sat there. You have to get the balances right, and this is about adapting to modern things, using technology in the right way to get the most effective out of them players. And like you say, some players like Tanaka can just come in and they understand it instantly, whereas some players like me, I was one of them. Even though I'm an analyst on the pitch, I'm terrible. I just run and do what I want. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to find, if people are different, you've got to find the balance to get the best out of each individual. Football's an interesting thing that's very deep. But it's fun. I love it.
And as Bill Shankly or Bob Paisley once said, football's a simple game. It's footballers that make it complicated. And I think if you look at managers and coaches over the last 20 years, we've probably made it even more complicated than it needs to be, but it's always an interesting thing. Shane, if you were up at Lord Celtic and Crumlin, and we're of the same vintage of years, I'm 43, but if you're around that, then we would definitely have played against each other. And you'll know, obviously, Robbie Keane came from Crumlin as well, but I played for a little bit with Graham Keane up in Tala when I lived up there for a while with his brother. So, cracking club, St. Pat's. I've played there, played in the UCD Bowl as well, scored twice in the UCD Bowl, which is a cracking pitch.
I used to be St. Pat's on FIFA. There you go.
Shamrock Rovers. Sean saying the number one team. I'd be a Cork City fan. My debut for Rovers, I was in the match program. It's on my Instagram, and basically I was interviewed as a 16-year-old, so making the squad, and I was asked questions of as an idiot 16-year-old who didn't have much internet.
Yeah.
If I knew what was going to happen afterwards, they basically asked me, did I support League of Ireland football? And I said, yeah, I'm born in Cork. My family are all born in Cork, so I'd be a big Cork City fan. So the headline on the program was, he plays for Rovers, but supports Cork City. I got roasted on my first game. And it didn't go well after that, but I got absolutely roasted on that. So, yeah.
I'll say that, Joe, we've all had moments. I used to play for the Man United Shadow squad when I was younger, talking about 11, 12. I had to wear a Man United kit every week. So there you go. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. 51, Shane. No, we're not saying milk. Yeah, I'd still say we faced up against each other at some point, Shane. But you'd know the Lockrans from Crumlin as well. I was looking to get coached by one of them. So good bunch. Anyway, Sean, mind your P's and Q's. Right, folks, we will leave it there. Thanks, as always, for dropping in and having a look. Just some news there today if you want to go check it out as well. Not an awful lot going on, so I'd appreciate you clicking on that video. That would do me a massive favor. Lucky, what's going on over your end? I saw you have some January tactical stuff ready to go for the transfer window.
I just did a little video preparing for what I think should happen in January. So that's on there, just about positions we should potentially go get, some potential names. It's not a scout report, just throwing some names out there. And then I did a Nonto video middle of international break, which nobody watched. So go watch that. I'd appreciate it. It took a long time to do. But yeah, and obviously going into the game, we'll have some usual game stuff coming up if I can be bothered.
If you can be bothered, you will be. We're back playing now, so you'll be very bothered. You will be bothered. You will. Someone's asking here that I'd have hair when I played, so you wouldn't recognize me. You can check it on my Instagram. Jerry Lynch on my Instagram. You can check all my football pictures are up there from when I played and coached. But a long time ago now since I played, and a year and a half since I've been out of football coaching. So no plans on going back.
But you're itching. You're not itching to go back, Jay?
I am a little bit, but
I want to play. I'm missing it so much.
I bite your hand up. My hip was like, forget about it. Yeah, my hip's screwed. I might not operation on me, get hip replacement. So that's my career ruined from what my dad always said to me, never pull out of a 50-50 tackle. And my hip will now tell you, always pull out of a 50-50 if you want to have any kind of leg density in the future. Yeah, do check it out. But coaching, I've a little bit of an itch to do some coaching. I don't want to manage. I never want to manage again, ever want to manage again. But an itch for a bit of coaching
team.
Yeah, but just the FA over here, they want you to have all your badges and they want you to pay money for stuff. And I can't be bothered at this stage. I know what I'm doing, but we'll see. Am I still in Duleek? I am still in Duleek. I am tiny little village, just outside Drogheda. Anyway, we're waffling, we're chatting for no reason. Anyway, folks, enjoy the rest of your day. Lucky, massive thank you as always. Lucky's details are down below in the description. You can check that out if you want to go check it out. Some of his stuff, you really should. Lucky's a very detailed, analytical brain of how football works. It's very worthwhile checking in to see what if Lucky's thoughts and the visuals match where your thoughts are, especially the end of the month ratings as well. It's always great to see them as well. So, folks, anyway, thanks. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Talk to you soon. See ya.